Welcome back to another Nano Reef video. In the last video, you all saw me unbox the Eshup's Deskmate Florida 9-gallon aquarium. We put it on our desk, you got to see how it fits, and you got to see some of the features of the aquarium. In today's video, we're going to get into the really cool stuff of setting it up. Here we're rinsing out the aragonite sand, so this is aragonite from Carib Sea. It's a really coarse sand, and here's the aquarium on my desk from the last video, nice and clean and ready for our sand. Time to make this tank a mess. It's got to get worse before it gets better, right? So we're going to throw in all of our sand, we're going to move this around and try and get about a 1 inch, maybe a little less than a 1 inch thick sand bed. That's what I personally like to roll with. The reason being, I like a thinner sand bed, and over time your water changes are going to take out some of this sand, and you're going to end up with probably 3/4 of what you actually see in the tank as your permanent sand bed. Now with a coarser sand like this, being this aragonite, it's probably 2 to 3 millimeters per little pebble there. The aragonite is going to get sucked up less by the water change, so it's probably going to stay in the aquarium better than if you had like some of that sugar sand, which I have in my other tanks. Anyways, we're getting into the Rockscape here. So as you can see, I got these rocks from my local fish store, and I went to the local fish store and measured, but these rocks are somehow bigger than I imagined at the fish store. It's kind of how it goes every time, right? You think you've got this perfect aquascape, you get it home, and you realize that you bought one too many rocks or something like that. So here we are, I'm trying to arrange this, and I probably went through 5 or 6 iterations. Let me know in the comments below what iteration you all think was the best as far as the Rockscape, and did I choose the Rockscape that you all like? Hopefully. If not, here we are putting, this little rock in the front and in the back and really test fitting, so hopefully, you guys like the final scape here. What I wanted to do with this Rockscape, I'm viewing this aquarium from the left, so my chair is in front of that monitor. I wanted to be able to see the Rockscape, and I wanted the Rockscape to go close to the top of the aquarium. I wanted it to really fill out the space. I wanted it to be probably 1 inch from the surface, and that meant that that big rock had to be included. That was the main way I was going to get height. So I wanted that big rock to be included. I wanted it to have natural caves. I wanted the rock on the other side to kind of fill in the back of that rock and provide like a barrier for the fish to hide. I wanted to make sure that there were holes in the rock for me to put frags in there in the future. But I also wanted to leave some sand bed available. So I really like LPS corals. They're one of my absolute favorite corals. So I really needed some sand bed in the front to be able to put maybe a brain coral or some Trachophilia, maybe even some Acanthophilia corals in there. And before we jump any further, I did end up rinsing that sand like 5 times, by the way. So the aquarium's gonna get a little milky, but it's not gonna get too murky on us. So here is the final aquascape. This is what I ended up going with. So I did super glue these rocks together just so they don't topple over and scratch the acrylic, but they were a pretty sturdy rock structure to begin with. You can see on this left side, there is a natural cave right there where I'm hoping a fire shrimp will kind of hide in and kind of wiggle around in there. I'd like to have like a pair of fire shrimp in here. And you can see through these 2 rocks on the right, you can kind of see right through there and check out like if anybody's hiding down there. Here's the view from the top, so you can see I've got this kind of like up and down structure of the rock, and it comes out probably 4 or 5 inches from the front of the aquarium, and it's probably an inch or 2 from the back, maybe like an inch and a half from the back actually. But you can see this offers a lot of room to put frags, a lot of room to put corals. I mean, we could put some mushrooms, we could put maybe even some SPS corals in there, which I would love to do. I would love to, get the secret to SPS unraveled here in these Nano and Pico tanks, because that's something where I can keep Montipora and some of these other corals in there, but nothing too crazy on the SPS world. So now we're going to fill the tank up with water. Here we're using Saltwater 1.025 specific gravity, and we're using a flow diverter just to try and disturb the sand bed as little as possible. You're going to see a bunch of micro bubbles in there as well from the pump, and this tank is going to get pretty murky for probably about 12 hours. You're going to see your tank get murky for a little bit. Here's the accessories, by the way. So this is the outlet nozzle. You can see that it screws together. This is my favorite design because it's very easy to take apart and do maintenance on your tank. You can see it comes with a tube. The tube fits on there perfectly. It's nice and snug. Very flexible, by the way. This is like a very flexible tubing, which I'm curious to see how it gets on over time, because tubing normally does get really stiff and brittle over time. Goes on to our Seche Syncra Plus pump perfectly. This is the 158 gallon per hour model, and we're running it on full blast, by the way. So we're going to put the Seche Syncra in the back there. again, the 158 gallon per hour model. There is a lower gallon per hour, a 90 gallon per hour model if you're looking for more of your LPS corals. It does also include a filter sock, so we're going to put the filter sock in here overnight to really clean up the aquarium. Now please be very careful. I didn't realize, but when I walked back in here the next morning, the water level in the front portion had risen quite a bit, and that meant that the filter sock was getting clogged overnight. And because it was getting clogged overnight, the tank was starting to fill up in the display. Luckily, there is an overflow in there, but the overflow is only officially rated for 120 gallons per hour. So if you go above 120 gallons per hour on this tank, you could, in theory, flood the tank if your filtration gets clogged. So just watch out for that. Be really careful. You can see in the back there, we've got a middle chamber for something like a protein skimmer or a refugium that we could put in this tank, which is great to see. We could even do additional filter media. You could 3D print like a filter caddy that sits in there, for example. So let's see how the tank gets on overnight. So this is 12 hours later. 12 hours later, the tank is looking beautiful, fantastic, ultra clear. I am shocked with how good this tank is looking. I walked back out here the next morning and was like, oh my goodness. I've already fixed the filter sock in this video, by the way, so you're not going to see the tank being very full in the display. It's going to look fine in these videos because I already went ahead and fixed it. You can see here I'm rinsing it out just to make sure I get all that dust out of the filter sock because I can reuse this, which is really nice. So you can also wash your filter socks, but we're going to opt for the BioCup Nano instead. So this is a product that Eships makes. Now you might ask, why not just 3D print a BioCup in the back of this tank? I totally could have, and I've done that for my smaller Deskmate 4.8 gallon, but I really wanted to go with Eships' first party solution and see what it was all about. I wanted to see how the water flow was their version of the filter cup compared to my 3D printed one. I wanted to see the quality of their filter cup compared to my 3D printed one. And honestly, their filter cup is really, really nice. It's really rock solid, glued together well, there's no running streaks, and it's got plenty of room for our filter pad and our filter media. For filter media, we're going with the Fluval Biomax FX from the Deskmate 4.8 gallon, which is already well established. The tank is 3 or 4 years old. You can see we've got some of the media that's a little bit cleaner and some of the media that's pretty dirty, kind of mixed in there. Shake it to get it all down to the bottom, and then put your filter pad right on top. Now you could also run a little packet of carbon in there, so what I would recommend, ChemiPure Blue makes little packets that you could put in there and put right in between the biomedia and that filter, so you get like the pre-filter, then the ChemiPure, then the biomedia. That's what I would recommend for filtration and what we'll run. We're not going to run ChemiPure for the first month the tank is up, but in this video, we've set up the tank, we've set up the filtration, and this is how it's looking. So let me know what you guys think about the Rockscape. We haven't got a light yet for this tank, so we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do for lighting. And we still haven't added our bacteria or anything like that. So in the next video, we'll go through the further setup steps. So if you're setting up your first saltwater aquarium, please follow along with this series. It's going to be a great video series to learn how to set up your first saltwater tank. As for problems that this tank encountered, the water flow being 158 gallons per hour is almost too much. We do find a solution for this in the next video, so stay tuned for that. But as for water flow in this tank, I would say 158 gallons per hour is the absolute maximum that you want to go with in a tank this small at 9 gallons, especially with the design being this peninsula style. If the water flow goes above 158 gallons per hour, you start to get your sandbed moving like this and creating like a wave in the front of the tank. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video. I will see you all on the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you don't mind. That helps me grow the channel. Have a good one, guys.